everybody. Thank you for joining us at Game Trade Media at Alliance Open House. I'm Gretchen, and I'm here with Colin from Luma Imports.
Hello.
All right, so what do you have here for us?
So right here we have Colors of Paris. This is the most recent publication from Super Meeple, a French publisher. And this is, in essence, a worker placement where you are all trying to put on the best orders in the style of the great masters. So you are trying to develop your 3 skills while you're also trying to complete certain paintings. Ultimately, you want to have the most points in terms of the mechanics in order to thematically be lauded as the best painter at moment at the end of the game.
Oh, so that's... I mean, just the setup here is so impressive with the little French meeples,
Yes.
which I am absolutely in love with.
Yeah.
And everything is just, I mean, the cards are beautiful.
Yes. So Super Meeple is known for component quality, for putting together a really impressive product. And this is their first original design. So they have recently done a number of reprints, reeditions of games like U.S. Telegraph, which was Attica. They did Mississippi Queen, which was Mississippi Queen. That's a bad analogy. But this is their first original. It's been doing very well in France, and it just released yesterday on September 12th, so it's available now. And the idea is that as a worker placement, we are going to be placing our various little French painter meeples on different areas on the lower board as well as on the upper board here in order to take advantage of certain actions. And the actions are generally grouped in 3s, whether or not you're going to try to add primary colors to your board here, and these numbers here are going to signify how many you can take from the pool whenever you take that action. So one of the things you're going to try to do is improve your actions, which are going to be these more speckled backgrounds here. These are going to allow you to try to pay some of your cubes to upgrade your skills so that you get more out of them per action. And then ideally, if you can, you'll also, depending on the paintings you're trying to put together, mix your primary pigments into the secondary pigments. And if you can do that, you may be able to take cards from the supply, which are paintings you can try to complete. You can spend an action to actually paint, which is this last action here. So you'll be able to actually take the pigment cubes from your board and place them onto cards that you have drafted into your workshop. And then ultimately, you're going to try to complete these for points to turn them into beautiful works of art. Now, you may also be able to mix the 3 secondary pigments into black cubes. Now, these aren't going to be things that are useful in terms of adding color or pigments to paintings, but they are one of the end game mechanics. So the game will end as soon as one player has completed 2 paintings, or once all 5 of the black cubes have been completed by the players at the table. So you have kind of a quick playing worker placement. It doesn't tend to stretch much over 60 minutes, but what you have when you're choosing actions here is more of that knife fight in a phone booth feel. They're all very good. You want to do all of them, and everyone knows it. The trick, however, is that at the end of each round, all of the actions are going to tilt on the board. And that's going to change the availability of the very actions. So some are going to be blocked off. Some are going to become more available or less available since you have single, double, and triple spaces per action. But the little wrinkle that we find people enjoy the most is that at the end of play, once we've taken all of our actions, we've moved the board, is that you can select, each player can select one of their workers and leave it on the board for the next turn. So they're kind of playing towards what they want to do this turn cycle, but then we're also going to think about what's going to become available to me if I leave my worker next turn. What can I block? What can I use?
Awesome. How many people can this
So it
play?
plays 2 to 4 players, and if you play with fewer players, you're just going to find some of these spaces with the numbers, and you're going to block off those areas. So you keep the game fairly tight. You just eliminate some of the areas that you can play on. And a 2-player game can be, I mean, it's always tricky to say whether or not a 2 to 4 is strong 2, but I think I've actually played Colors of Paris more 2 than anything else because it's a very fast back and forth, and it can get very cutthroat very quickly. So if you're looking for something that is very intense as a worker placement, I found it's a very strong 2-player.
True to art school.
Absolutely. Gotta get ahead. It's very cutthroat.
Awesome. Did you want to play through a round?
Yes, so we absolutely can. So what we'll do for a 2-player is I'm just going to move these back. Do you have a preference of color?
Blue is the best color.
Absolutely. Well, that is universally known. Please, no red player haters. I will take the red, just to warrant that. So if we were to start fresh, each player is going to get one of these boards, and you could choose, if you want, one of the expansion modules, which are the painters. So all of the painters, the classics like Renoir, Toulouse-Lautrec, Degas, they all have a player power that you can make use of. So that can change things up slightly. But for the purposes of playing at the beginning, I think Monet seems like a good choice.
I
I've
do
got
love
Vincent
Monet.
over here because I like a tasty snack every once in a while. So you're going to start with 3 of your meeples available to you. So you can just take 3 of those. The other 3 may become open to you later in the game. And you'll start with 1 each of the primary colors on your board.
Oh.
So what we would do in a 2-player is we'll block off this here, we'll block off this, and we'll block off this 2-3 and this 2-3. And now we have our spaces that are available and are not available. And so I'm just going to tilt this. You'll see that the starting position is when these line up.
All right.
So what we're going to do is we'll just shuffle these. We've randomly selected a few of these paintings that we can think about. You've got 4 easels. You'll play with the 4 of those out. And we're not going to play with these bonus cards face up because, like the painters, they are a special module that you can use to add a little bit more diversity to the game, special actions you can take. But we'll just leave those for the time being. Now, as blue, being so assertive, did you want to be the first player?
Sure.
I love it.
All right,
Okay,
let's do it.
Great. So on your turn, I'll take my 3 over here. What you're going to do is you're going to take one of your workers and you're going to place them on one of these actions. And just to repeat, these 3 allow you to take this number. Oop, we have to set your board up here. This is going to allow you to take the number where your little marker is, that many cubes of the color you're at. So the primary's here.
Let's see what paintings we have.
Exactly. So what is of interest? Oh, no. Now, if you see some of these that you need some of the secondary colors, you're going to look at these cubes, these spaces here. Exactly. So for one of each of the 2 primaries that make the secondary, you can get whatever this number is of that cube. So if you were to take, say, this action, a red and a yellow that you have at the beginning would net you 2 orange. But as you improve that ability, you could get more orange for the 1 and 1. And if you wanted to improve those abilities, these 3 spaces will allow you to upgrade. And that's merely moving one of these up the corresponding space up 1 at a cost of 2 cubes. So it has the little 2 cubes underneath. It can be any 2 you want.
All right. So I think I'm going to go, I'd like some yellow.
It's a good color.
So do I just place them here?
Just right there. So we're not going to do anything right now. You're going to place because we'll place all of our people. And then at the end, we can knock them down and take their actions in whatever order we would like. So it's not necessarily the order we place that we resolve. You're kind of jockeying for position right now.
All right.
So I'm thinking, ooh, maybe I'm going to try to get some of the blue action right now. And then you'd go again.
All right. And I think, what are my colors? I think I'm going to go for some, nope. Can't
Not
put
yet.
any red. Can't do red yet.
Not yet.
Ooh, that gets harder. All right. I think in that case, I can mix some purple.
Okay.
do
I like
that.
a little bit of purple. I'm going to try to follow the screen and see what do we have here. Oh, I see. Oh, these are a lot of secondary colors.
Yeah.
Danger zone. Okay. Yellow's going to be necessary to get some of that green at some point. So maybe I'll go there. It seems like a good idea. It's a good idea.
Our meeplers are going to fight it out.
Yes, they are. So we've got 1 more meeple each.
What's the little palette one?
So the palette here is going to allow you to improve the palatability. So that means that going forward, when you mix, you can mix at a better ratio.
Ooh, I think I'm going to put him there.
Ah, okay, I see.
And turn this guy so he's more threatening with his paintbrush.
Oh, oh my goodness. Well,
And I can really duke it
I
out.
don't want to convey that I'm intimidated, but you gentle viewer know that I am. So I think I'll use my last one, and I'm going to be a little bit more peaceful over here, and I'm going to look at the improving that ability right up top, generating primary colors.
All
So
right.
now that that's done, we've played out our meeple. What we're going to do is we're going to resolve them. So again, since you are the start player, you are going to be able to flip one of your workers down and take that action, noting that it does not have to be in the same order that you placed them.
Oh, okay. That's fun. So in that case, so can I flip this down so I get
Yes.
better mixability?
That's right. You spend 2 of anything, so you can use 2 of your cubes,
all right.
and then we'll see what happens.
So in that case, I'm going to get rid of yellow, and I'll get rid of red,
Okay.
and I move this up,
Ooh.
right?
Yes, you do.
All right.
May I make a tiny
Yeah,
little
go for it.
observation?
Go for it.
So by doing this, your red is gone. Since you're not getting any more, you won't be
Can't
able
do
to
it.
mix.
No.
But if you used your yellow
Mhm.
first, then you may be able to get the cubes, the excess yellow, in order to pay for this, in order to use this at a
that's
better
very clever.
ratio. If you wanted to, but
I'll lay
you're
in the bet I made.
okay. I appreciate your resolve. So I think in this case, I'm going to get a little bit of yellow, and according to my little Van Gogh over here, I'm going to get 3. So I would just add 3 yellow into my little space.
Excellent. All right, so I'll go ahead and I'll take my yellow.
Mm.
And over here, where does it say?
So that's going to be this space, the top one, and that's going to
Uh-huh.
tell you
So 3.
3 yellow.
Ta-da.
Nice.
So now I'm
Okay.
back with yellow, but I'm still missing red.
Well, I'm going to grab some of that blue, grab another 3, same action, different color this time. See if this pays off.
All right. And I can't do anything.
There's
That's
a little womp
okay.
womp feel. Yes, I apologize. But we'll tilt that down because, he's done his bit. And then we're going to knock over this one, and I'm going to upgrade that skill, increase this from 3 to 4, and I'm going to spend 1 blue and 1 yellow to just kind of pay off that debt. And so now what we're going to do is we are going to move this forward 1 track. Boop. And now, with the different configuration, starting with you as the first player, we can choose to leave one of these workers on the lower board, since no one used the top board, stand them back up, and keep whatever their current location is as an action. You don't have to, but is now an option.
Okay. So I'm like, strategy.
This
go,
is
go.
Yes, this is where the game starts to kick in as, oh, I need to think
How
about
do
the
I get my
next
secondary
turn.
colors?
Mhm. And it's not always necessary to do so. You may not
Yeah.
like what it is, or you may not feel that it's necessary to block at a space that's less advantageous for you.
I'll leave my guys.
Okay, just the one. You get to leave just the one. The others you got to take back.
I will take back this guy.
Okay.
Take back this guy, but I'm going to
Okay.
leave yellow.
All right, so
There,
you can
garden
just
yellow.
stand up that one, and that's still there. Okay, I think I will do likewise, and I'll take these 2, but maybe I'll make a little red next turn. So we would go on. The first player token will stay with you because no one grabbed it. So up top here are a few extra spaces, and I'll just go over those briefly because they're a little bit more manipulating the board.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, you'd have to spend an action if you wanted to get the first player token for the next round. You'd also be able to get 1 white cube. The white cube is useful because you can use it on any painting, but you can only use a maximum of 3 white cubes on any given painting because they are kind of a slapdash kind of shortcut way of painting, and they'll actually give you -2 per white cube at the end. So maybe it's beneficial to try to get things done quickly, but you're going to lose points. Over here, if you were to take this action, allows you to duplicate one of the actions on the lower board that hasn't already been claimed. So if you're down here and I really needed yellow, then I could use this action in order to mimic your action if you hadn't already used it. If you've already used it, I cannot use that action. And I can do it on myself as well if I wanted to double up an action. And then finally over here, if I were to take this 0 or ×2 action, this is me choosing either to not move the board at all to keep it exactly where it was the last round, or to move it twice, bypassing whatever that action was. So these three give you a little bit more manipulation of the flow of the game rather than using and improving your actions. And the central area here is just choosing to get white cubes in mass using this ability. So whatever the number for your primary colors, you'd also use to gather white. And this little infinity sign, which is most definitely not an 8, whoop, means that multiple people can go here. It's the only space on the board where multiple people can go simultaneously. It's a fairly straightforward, but there's a few things going on. It's very intricate.
It's an intricate but very fast-paced game, which
It
I
can
feel
be quite
like
quick, yes.
I like the fight in a phone booth metaphor for that. I can
Yes.
see this going so quickly, so fun, so getting wrapped up in everything that you're just like, well, fine, I'll just spin everything.
Yes, absolutely. You can definitely hustle things along very quickly, depending on how you play. You may have a lot of people going for the black cubes, mixing to secondaries very quickly. The game is going to go a lot shorter than if people are trying to gather points from the paintings, which is a slightly different pace of game. So that'll change at 2, 3, and 4, as well as who's playing and what are they trying to accomplish. So it's an interesting... I don't win terribly often. I will admit that on camera, but I do like coming back to it to keep seeing what it has to offer.
When does this come out?
This comes out yesterday.
Oh.
So this should be in your friendly local right now, ideally.
It's hanging out there. It's waiting on the shelves for you.
It is. It's calling to. Les Couleurs de Paris wants to be played. Yes, absolutely.
And you have something else for us, too.
Well, what we were going to do is just kind of dramatically drag over here. This is the King's Dilemma. Place here. And this is actually from another one of our publishers. This is from Horrible Games. And Horrible has created a legacy-style narrative game. And what we have here is a non-cooperative. I'll drag it back here slightly. Maybe we'll get however we want to do it.
Meeples be gone.
Yes. So with the King's Dilemma, what you have here is a competitive rather than cooperative legacy-style game where you are all going to be members of a ruling council of a particular fantasy medieval-style kingdom. And what your goal is to do two things. The first is to help govern your city. You still want the kingdom to do well, but at the same time, you are trying to balance that with the needs of your house. The house that you represent from game to game has their own agenda, their own desires that they want to see affected in the kingdom. So you have to make decisions in a series of dilemma cards that will arise from round to round about whether X is a good decision or whether Y should advance the cause of the kingdom. And this will fluctuate various things such as the wealth, the morale, the military power of various elements within the kingdom. And so this is going to be something where you'll play 15, 16, 17 games, and over that span, you'll have things happen to your kingdom. You'll have things happen to your house.
So you can play and then come back to it and play and have it all interconnect.
Absolutely. What's going to happen is a series of envelopes will kind of show you this choose your own adventure style experience.
So cool.
So if you say, yay, you vote, yes, we should do this, then that may guide you down one path, which eliminates your opportunity to get this other path, or may circumvent it until later. So it's all about whether or not you're making certain choices for your kingdom, whether you're making certain choices for your house, and how are you going to score better than the others at the end of the entire campaign. And you have a rule book that allows you to write everything down, keep track of your house. You have a series of stickers and envelopes that you'll add to the board, which will gradually tell you, oh, this particular house has got this benefit or this penalty. And that will just create this narrative that you're gradually moving down these various intricate narrative paths that I'm trying to be as vague as possible. This is spoilery otherwise. But ideally, you're going to have a really involved narrative experience where you feel that you have chosen things and you are making tough moral decisions about what is best for you and your house and your kingdom.
So this is a good game for people who have like a regular kind of game night with a tight-knit group of friends who happen to enjoy the fantasy politicking kind of genre.
Yes, I would agree. The game tells you in the rules that you do not necessarily need to play with the same people. There is benefit to it. You don't have to, and that's why it comes with 12 different houses, even though it plays up to 5. So you have some opportunity to cycle between. But what's interesting about it is that if you keep everyone together, if you decide to play like that, the story you take more agency, more ownership over the story that way, and you have recaps, and you're able to really, do you remember that game 2 weeks ago we had this, oh my goodness, it's come back, something's happening now. So you do have a lot of those callbacks, and you do have a lot of those, maybe we shouldn't have done that.
My friends group would get so attached. They'd be like, this is my land.
Well, because each game doesn't go more than an hour, it's not a long time investment. So you may have a couple of games be played in an evening. If you're really into it, you may have something where you're meeting once a month, once a week, and you keep feeling this call to say, well, what's the next chapter? What happens next? And so it doesn't overstay its welcome, and you do feel like you're constantly refreshing and building on something. So we've had very positive response. We're very gratified to see people are really kind of, it's resonating with so many people. And it really does create if you like story-driven gaming, it is really a neat mark in the market right now. It's a really neat example of
Now, did this one come out yesterday as well?
Why, yes, it did, Gretchen.
So you could find this at your friendly local game store?
The friendliest local game store. Yes, absolutely.
And so if you wanted more information on either of these games, is there somewhere we could go?
Yes, so you can either go to the website of Horrible Games or Luma Imports. You can also look at Super Meeple for Colors of Paris. You can check our Facebook, our Instagram. We are trying to post as much as we can. We're trying to answer questions. We like people to be engaged with those areas. So those would be the best way to get information. If you are a retailer, talk to your friendly local distributor. And if you are just interested, talk to your friendly local game store themselves. They should be able to get information. There are lots of resources. Those we don't want to limit anything. And we think that whether you're on social media, whether you're just looking for a plain website, whether you're talking to friends, whether you're on Board Game Geek, you should be able to find all of that information quite readily.
All right. Well, thank you, Colin from Luma Imports, for playing games with us. That was awesome. And you can find them at your friendly local game store.